is Daryl Barrett Jr. I noticed that Sean G put out an open panel, so I'll be joining that open panel momentarily, and we'll be able to see what's going on with Sean G today. So here we go.
Remember what I
Um,
saw the publication for that was?
just like, oh, there we go. Feels work. What's going on, Sean G? I have my stream going. I figured I'd come join you.
What's up, Daryl? How you doing, sir? It's been a long time.
Yes, it has. How you been?
I did notice you were starting to live stream now. That's pretty cool. You just like bounce around and just keep streaming.
Yeah. Well, actually left that last Discord server I was on, so I guess I can't say I'm bouncing around. I guess I could just say I'm just not going where I was before. So
Yeah,
maybe I'll start coming here more often, and I'll just start focusing on debunk videos and things like that more so than at least that Discord server. Just find that the flatter Discord servers are not so friendly to people who speak in like basic rationality and truth, if you know what I mean.
yeah. I think I know where you're talking about as well. It does get difficult because, especially because I know you, so and you know me. So when you think outside the box, original like already, and you understand that you have a different outlook on how to talk about things than say what we consider a normie, right? And then you get to these forums where there are other people that have a different mindset, and you start talking to them, and they talk to you like you have no clue what you're talking about. You realize real quick that there are paths to these things that are just unlogical, completely unlogical.
Definitely.
So basically, I've been just basically talking about like advanced technology and what we're capable of and what we know to be capable of. Um, I was bringing up my opinion of UFOs.
Okay. I
Personally,
like that topic. Okay.
yep. Personally, I don't think they're aliens. I think they're just advanced technology. I think it'd be like a China, America, Russia type situation, and what we see happening when we observe a UFO, I think would be more of a them testing or just being spotted during testing type situations. Primarily in the United States, it'd probably be our military for the most part.
Yeah, I could agree. At least some of these sightings are that. I remember there was the incident with I believe it was the B-2 bomber, the big wing, and people were seeing that being tested, and they thought that was a UFO. So, yeah, I could definitely agree
Yeah,
that some of those are the case.
yeah. The fighter jet, the stealth fighter when that first came out, when they were doing testing over Groom Lake, they got like a 1,500. I want to say 1,000. I don't know why I said 1,500. I think 1,000 phone calls of reported UFO. It actually pushed for the U.S. military to actually publicly acknowledge that the stealth fighter existed, and that was based on reports, not just because they were like, "Oh, well, it's time." It was just to the point where so many people had seen it that they were like, "Well, it's we have to let the cat out of the bag now," basically.
Hmm. Yeah, I say that's definitely a valid uh, uh, observation. And Blue is in the channel, Blue, Big Blue, Blue Marble Science. Hello to
Yep.
him.
Yes. What's
Uh,
up, sir?
I do know that, at least in my findings, I don't think that's the case for all of them. Like the first thing that comes to mind is the sighting that happened in Phoenix, Arizona. If you're into the topic, then I'm sure you heard of Phoenix, Arizona. And
Yep.
so I believe they tried to attribute it to flares, and that didn't follow the pattern. And I believe they tried to attribute it to helicopters because the thing was going so slow across the whole state. But it
Mm.
seems to me that that was a valid sighting of something that's not of this earth. But of course, I can't present
And
any
that was
evidence. I could just go by the accounts and stuff. Go ahead.
yeah, and that was the one that kind of just went over the city for like hours, wasn't it? It was like a
Over the
long
state. Oh
time.
yeah, over
Yeah,
the
the whole
state for
thing.
hours.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So it they knew it was there because it was nighttime, of course, and it actually you could see the shape of it blocking out the background of the stars. So it was huge. and they also had these unusual lights underneath. That's why some people were attributing it to flares, but people came along and actually threw flares and was able to compare it. It clearly wasn't flares. And there was a situation where as the object traveled across around the state, it 911 calls were following in its wake. That's one of the ways that they were able to track the path, because the 911 calls, and there's some higher and lower places or that it went, and some people were able to see it closer than others and were able to describe it and things like that. So I saw a documentary on it, and I saw several videos that people took of it. I mean, it seems to me to be valid. But again, that's the best evidence I could present would be just videos people took in eyewitness testimony. So I'm not saying I have 100% proof. I'm just saying according to all that I was able to see about it, it seems like a valid one to me.
Yeah. See, the problem with I've seen I've seen the uploads that have come with it. I'm trying to find some of them right now. Um, the issue I had when I watched that is that you never get to see the outline of anything, like the actual outline, and whether or not it could be something military doesn't seem definitive or not.
Okay.
And that'd be, you know what I mean? So the how it happened is odd, right? I mean, for people who don't know, this thing was probably up and being cited for, I think it was probably about what, 3-4 hours.
But
It
yeah,
was
it
like a
was hours.
long time. um and at no point did it do anything like out of nowhere, like it didn't just like zip off anywhere. It literally just cruised the sky as if it was just there. um Now, I would say you have to discount weather balloons, right? Um, because I don't think there's a weather balloon on Earth that big, as big as this thing was. Um, Whatever it was obviously blocking out the stars, like you were saying, as a
Mhm.
whole, right? It wasn't like little
That's right.
pieces inside of it that you could see
That's right.
stars. So we know it was a large object. But that's as far as I feel like you can go to in the idea of identifying what it is.
Yeah, I could agree with that. As far as hard evidence we have, all we can simply say is what we observe. We can't uh, concretely say where it came from or what its origins are. I could agree with that.
Now, the other side of it is how ridiculous is it to think that we are the only ones,
Mm.
right? Because the way I see it, the way I look at it, oops, I didn't mean to do that. I had sound in my ear. Sorry. um, if if space universe, better yet, is as big as we think it is, and we are here with what we have, that we acknowledge that we have, it is literally unlogical to think that there's nothing else. Like, completely unlogical to think we're the only thing that's out here.
One of the most interesting parts of my stellar astronomy class was all of the different methods that they use to detect exoplanets. Like, for instance, we can look at a star and notice that the star dims at a periodic rate. Like, there's a certain consistency where it is normal brightness, then it dims. There's a normal brightness, then it dims. And we have technology that can zoom in on that star and determine that there's a planet going in front of the star that's dimming the light from the star. Another thing we can do is we can notice the wobble of a star, because we know that there's a red shift and a blue shift in light when things are moving farther towards and away from us. And we can look at a planet and notice that we look at a star and notice that it's wobbling back and forth such that a planet is orbiting it. That's just two of the methods. So we know there's so many planets out there, and that's only the ones we can detect, the ones that's large enough to dim the star enough where we can detect it easily enough, or the ones that are large enough to make the star wobble back and forth enough where we can get a good detection. And we have methods that's becoming even more accurate. So just with the stars, the planets that we find now that are big enough to meet our technological bias, there's so many planets out there. Um, so there's no telling how many civilizations could be out there. So yeah, I agree with that.
Now, when we're talking excuse me. Oh, that sucked. Sorry about that. When we're talking civilizations, when we're talking the search, one of the biggest things that I think is a hinder to us is like everything, we humanize things. So
Mm.
when we're looking at these planets, now mind you, so everyone knows, neither one of us, I assume Daryl, not you, we can't see. Like you would think, why don't they just zoom into these planets and we can see if they got like buildings and highway structures? Uh, there's no way. Like it is almost, as far as I know, impossible to get that close to one of these exoplanets or
As far as I
get
know
that
as
kind of
well. Yeah.
visual. Yeah, get the visual aspect of that. I think it's. hmm, Correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, 'cause I don't know. Can we do that on the moon? Can that we have a telescope that we can zoom in and see for instance, the reflectors? I don't think we
My
can even do that.
understanding is, my understanding is we can zoom in enough from the Earth to see the tracks on the moon. But the thing is, we also have a satellite going around it. But just as far as the zoom in, I think we could zoom in and see the tracks. But I see your point. The moon is right there, and we can't like zoom in and like see an actual footprint. And the moon is right there.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah. So yeah, we're nowhere near, to my understanding. You know, the thing about it is though, like they 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 have ways to do various things. Like one of the things that we discussed in one of my classes, some of the details I mixed up which class it was, but we are able to look at a distant planet and look at the spectra coming from the planet and make some deductions about what the atmosphere is made of, right? Similar to how we can do it with Jupiter and Venus and stuff before we sent probes and stuff there. So we do have some understanding of what the atmosphere of some planets must be like, but not enough to actually zoom in and say, okay, we see that there is a something that looks like the Great Wall of China there. So there must be some civilization there. For as I know, we're not there yet. And Big
yeah,
Blue
yeah.
says something. He says, imagine traveling through intergalactic only to decide Phoenix would be a great place to investigate. The poor aliens are certainly easily amused. Yeah. Out
Yeah,
of
and
all
and
the
that's
places, Phoenix.
exactly, and that's, again, like, what really gets me when I we think about the when we think about sightings and things happen, there has to be a purpose, but more importantly, the places like, I would understand if 99% of UFO sightings happened around, like, big bases, and I know a lot of them do, I know that. But that also just goes into what we were just saying a minute ago with it being, just advanced technology
Foreign
that we
power.
just aren't privy to see. Yeah.
I got you.
So it's very weird to me that some people are willing to just jump on that 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 run of aliens are real. Or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say it that way. Aliens aren't real. When we have, and in the same token, these are the same people that believe the same things we do, right?
Mm.
They believe in exoplanets, they understand solar systems and stuff, but they still have that idea that it's impossible for there to be something else. And then this very scary aspect of it is this. Let's pretend they are absolutely aliens from somewhere besides Earth. If that's the case, we're fucked. Because that means their
How so?
technology, their understanding of everything is so far beyond us. We can't even imagine what they're capable of doing to us if need be.
I disagree with that. And here's the reason. And tying that back to what you said earlier. Okay, so when we had the atom bomb, like there was the Oppenheimer movie that came out, we used that thing. We used that thing to end the war. So the first thing I would say is we can see how China treats their people. Like I've in university I room with people from different countries and I hear about other countries are and China is not a place of freedom, right? So I don't at least not to the extent that we think of freedom, right? I mean, it's not like they
Mhm,
like have chains around their legs or anything, but I mean, the internet is controlled to a great degree and they have to be worried about what they say. I remember there was a comedian who made jokes about China and it didn't end too well for him. So I
mhm.
believe that if China, for instance, had some kind of technology that can do the things that we've seen UFOs doing, reported UFOs doing, Just like how we utilized the atomic bomb, I think they would have used it. The second thing is, if there was some kind of belligerent or hostile extraterrestrial race that can do the things they do, I think the same thing will in place. I don't see why they would sit hovering around for like how long ago did Phoenix happen in 97, 96, 97, something like that, 2001,
97.
somewhere around that area.
Yep.
So, I see, for instance, looking at it because I think this is an example of how we sort of humanize what could be more advanced than us psychologically as well. Like when the settlers came to America, they didn't waste any time taking the land from the natives. They just took their land and put them on a reservation, and that was that. And we could see
Mm.
the same thing across all the different cultures of America. That a more advanced civilization finds a less advanced, and they waste no time enslaving them, taking their resources, and so on and so forth. So you know, I don't. I think if they were hostile, I think we would know already. So, especially given reports that we shot at them and shot some down. I was into this topic a lot, and I looked at a lot of reports from Army people and things of the things that we did towards these things. If they were hostile, I'm pretty sure we would know already. In a very bad way, we would know.
Yeah, but we're stupid. um,
Oh,
but
no, no. What I mean is, when I say we will know, I mean we will know not because we're so smart. I mean we will know because they would have done to us what we did to the American Indians or Japan. We would know because they had put some hurting on us to let us know. It's not that we would have figured it out. It's just like, oh, there's a hostile force that has 1,000 years of technology on us, and we shot at them. Well, now we know what
but
happens when you start a fight with a hostile force with, what I mean? Just like, I
yeah.
read the book On Bended Knee. I never forget there was this situation with the Native Americans where, okay, they was in the process of stealing these people's lands and everything, and they captured some of the Indians who were trying to fend them off. And what the soldiers did was they had like all the Indian soldiers like on their knees or whatever. This is one of the people who escaped that was telling the story, one of the Indians that escaped, and it was antagonizing the guy, antagonizing the guy, antagonizing the guy. And the moment he said one word in reproach to them, they shot him. They just shot him dead right there. So they kept antagonizing him, and the moment he said something, I guess that was the excuse to say they shot him. So imagine us shooting at these things or shooting them down like some of the soldiers have reported we've done. If that really happened and this was really a hostile force, they would have done to us, if we projecting onto them this hostility, they would have been hostile, but I don't think they would have waited that far, if they were
But
hostile.
on
It
the
was
other
given they are really an extraterrestrial force that's hostile, given how
yeah,
we understand hostility to be with a stronger force, we would know because they'd have been hostile towards us.
but the problem is, since we're humanizing it, the problem with that is this. In the same note, we we go in the ocean, we go into the middle of the nowhere wilderness, and we sit there and we observe things that we don't understand before we do stuff with it. Um, I get that we, at the same token, we do some pretty stupid shit, violent shit to animals that we observe. So it does kind of fall in line with what you're saying, but at the same token, it could just be a situation where it really is just an observation.
Mm. And then
Maybe
I would say,
maybe because
go ahead.
oh, I know that actually that line of thinking where it's an observation only leads credence that what is the Anunnaki?
Okay, I
Because
heard
if
those
that were the
before.
case, they would just sit and watch their creation.
Hmm. Interesting thought.
But at the
Um,
same time, but see, at the same time, I do think I kind of understand where you're coming from and agree with it that if it was an alien race, why haven't they done more here? Like you said, it doesn't really make sense that they would come here and just hover and then just leave. More importantly, and see, this is another reason I think it's advanced. It's not like we get these things, we see these things, and then we get a conflicting report from a space agency that can detect space debris, for instance.
oh, and
We're
by
not
and by the
wired.
way, Sean G, somebody's asking in the live chat, is there a panel link? Do you have a link I can put in my live stream? I give you
Yeah,
some.
well, if you wanna just put the server, invite in there, and then I can get anyone verified and got in here, and they can join us.
Server invite. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know that.
Let
Uh,
me can you see the, chat, the YouTube chat, that
yes.
text
The,
that
the
okay, I'll
YT
put
stream
it in
chat.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put that in here. I'll put it in there. Grab it real quick. If you copy this link and you can send that to them and
Awesome.
they'll be able to get in.
Sounds good. So I'll put this link
Yep.
in the live stream there, Brandon. So feel free to join. And sorry to interrupt your thought. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries at all. Yeah, it's let me try to get back to where I was. Okay. It's one of those things where I feel like there should be some type of conflicting because let me backtrack a second. We definitely have the technology to track space debris. I would think if it was an alien species coming here, we would get more observation reports and more the debris, those the people that search like that look for the debris, China, United States, and a few others, you would think that they'd be able to just easily go, oh shit, we got something. But those didn't come out in the reports. Now, did they come out in the reports? Or and we just not able to see them? Or is it not happening? And that's where things really get really fuckery, right? Um, we know
I
for a
mean,
fact
go ahead.
good because we know for a fact that because what was it 2 3 years ago the Pentagon came out with their UFO file stuff, so it's obviously something they're looking into. My problem is it just a deterrent?
Welcome, Brandon.
Depending. Hey, what's up, Brent? How you doing,
It's
sir?
from the
Welcome.
stream.
Nice. Because it's one of those things where it's like if the Pentagon's
Hello
been
there.
how you doing? Yeah, if the Pentagon's doing research on UFOs, then the stuff they're going to give us about the UFO stuff is obviously going to be minimal.
All right.
Their acknowledgement of it to me is a red flag. If there are UFOs, alien species, and the military knows about it, I would expect more.
Hello there. New user here.
What's up?
I am going on some new panels.
How you doing? Yeah, no worries.
Welcome. Welcome.
And you sound like a pretty decent user.
I didn't quite catch that last thing.
Yeah,
I just subscribed to your channel, Dairy Berry Jr.
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And a lot of people say I have the best streams.
Oh, that's good to hear. So I plan on continuing to do more streams. I'll keep it going this time.
nice. Are you gonna do like panels and stuff? Or you just get
Yes.
You know what? I would like to do that again. Yeah. So yeah, I'll start having panels. Maybe I should schedule some. And hopefully you'll join, Sean G. I had a panel.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Do you have favorite Looney Tunes character?
I used to love Looney Tunes when I was coming up. I remember they think they tried to update them or something, but I think the classics are always the best.
Do
I
you
think
have
that's
favorite
always
Looney
the
Tune
case.
character?
Say again?
Do you have favorite Looney Tune character?
A favorite? Probably Bugs Bunny. That's the first one that comes to mind. What about you, Sean G?
I would say I like Wile E. Coyote.
Okay. Coyote is all right. That was the one with the Roadrunner, right?
Yep,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Because he would constantly try to figure out new things, invent things, and just keep going. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Yeah.
And what
Tasmanian Devil.
Yep,
and
that was a
you
really good one.
can look at my channel.
If you
What,
want, you
what
can put
kind
your
of
link in
stuff
the
do you
chat.
do, Brandon?
I do opinion waffles. I mainly still have old school cartoons on my streams. I let people hop on my panel to bring back their childhood memories.
Okay.
That's cool. Like a hangout
I
and
could
just
even
chill, talk about cartoons.
I could even still have some Bugs Bunny ones as well.
And what's going on, Earth This Life? Earth This Life just joined as well.
What's up, people? How you doing, sir?
And
Hey, I just
I can
popped.
also talk about Wally Coyote as well.
Awesome.
Cool.
Cool, cool.
Yeah,
And
just
I'm gonna
popped
leave
in to
y'all.
say.
Go ahead.
Just popped in to say what's up real quick. That's all. I got like 5 minutes.
Thanks, man.
Thought
Cool.
Appreciate
I'd
it.
say what's up.
I just had a little bit
Actually,
of
I want
time
to.
as well. But I'll leave y'all with
Yeah,
one thing before I go. This
yep,
interesting story I want to tell you all about.
yeah.
There's
Go
this
ahead.
guy named David Adair. Look him up. David Adair. He's this genius inventor. He reminds me of Elon Musk actually, but I guess he just doesn't have a mind for business. He just invented stuff.
I did accept your friend request. Same with
Hang on.
Sanji.
I got. Let Daryl finish real quick.
Yeah. So, and I'll type his name out, David Adair. So what happened is when he was just a teen, he would build rockets, and he was building more and more advanced rockets until eventually he built the rocket so fast that it was picked up on all the little defense apparatuses. And what he
Yep.
said was they actually took him to Area 51 to look at one of the injuries they had from one of these craft. And
Uh-huh.
that was his story. He said he was able to get out because his family was friends with an army general, and he had to come get him. They wasn't even going to let him out. But I heard his story. He gave interviews years ago, but apparently after that incident, the general told him, "Look, you need to stop making rockets," and he stopped making them until recently. Actually, that's how he came to mind again. Like a few years ago, he said he found a little separate place to make rockets again. But check him out. He has a pretty
Yeah.
good
Actually,
story.
I just pulled it up. It's David Adair. The Rocket Man
Yeah,
finally snapped.
really.
Actually,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna play the. I don't really care about copyright. I'm gonna play the preview on YouTube.
Gene G. Wally Coyote's a favorite. That's my favorite along with the Roadrunner.
That
Yep.
y'all had a bit of time. I want to hop on. Thanks for having me, Sean G. Nice talking to everybody. See y'all next
Yep.
time.
All
I'm
Absolutely.
right.
doing one at
Anytime.
5 o'clock today.
Be on Sean G's channel. Thank y'all for watching. Good seeing you, Brandon. Good seeing you, Blue, as always. And I will be back. That way, I was just an impromptu thing. I'm sort of in the middle of my day. I had my modern physics lab earlier today. We were doing the Frank Hertz experiment. So what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to make a talk about each of the different labs I'm doing. Because now I'm doing some more, spending a whole week on a lab. We're really getting in depth. Last week, I measured the speed of light. This week, I'm verifying that quantum reality is real. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to either make a presentation of several of the experiments, or I'll make one presentation on each. So, I mean, they are full experiments, but it's not like I'm, you know, spending like years doing the experiment where I could write something very, very full, but just enough to, hey, measure the speed of light. This is how we did it. This is the verification. Uh, measured, uh, at least, I guess I can't say measured, but well, measured I think is accurate. Technically, we're measuring the amount of electrons that make it through a vapor cloud of either mercury or neon, and we're able to look at the current that goes through and compare it to see how much of the electrons deposit their energy into the atom, which the atoms then release in the form of fluorescence. With the neon atom actually fluoresces at a wavelength we can see, and we're able wavelength there actually to take a picture of it. And today I did the attention hypothesis of how each of the dips in the curve of the graph corresponds to inelastic collisions through which the electrons deposit their energy and the atoms absorb their energy and release their energy as photons. And you're able to see the three different lines that it meets at. So I know that might not be too clear, just talking about it very briefly like this, but what I'll do is just look for it. I'll make a presentation about it. And usually I do stuff like that on my pure STEM channel. So I have a channel where I just talk about science and experiments just purely without addressing any flat earth stuff. But I'm pretty sure I'll still make a flat earth comparison because some of the flat earth people are denying electrons and denying quantum. This is, it's craziness. So I'm sure I'll make one for both maybe, or even make my pure science video there and then do a commentary here where I relate it. But either way I go, I'll do it some kind of way. So thank y'all for joining. I'll be back later this week for a full video where I review one of the documentaries. And by the way, I said I was going to do some more challenge and response videos. And one of the people who I used to talk to on that Discord channel I no longer go to, he basically set some challenges in my way. So I will be addressing those challenges. And so look forward to me starting that series of his challenges this weekend. Blue says they deny just about everything. That's right. Anything that points to a globe, they deny it. But they will make up anything that they might relate to a flat earth, just prove a globe. They just believe that right away. They made up on the spot. It's funny. We look forward to that. Good seeing y'all. I'll see y'all next time.